Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stone. I'm Robert Runyon, and today I'm joined by Melissa Simonson from Eva.Guru, and we're going to show you everything that you should know in preparation for Prime Day and the tools you should be using to get peace of mind during this stressful time, plus a few extras. That's coming up next on Behind the Stone. Melissa, thanks for being on the show. We've got a great topic on inventory management preparation for Prime Day to deep dive on. But before we get into it, tell me a little bit about you and Eva.Guru. Take a moment to brag on yourself and your company.
Thank you very much for having me again, Robert. I'm so excited to be on your podcast and to be returning. So thank you for inviting me back.
Melissa, I couldn't think of another guest that has as much knowledge as you, and I'm so excited to deep dive with you on Prime Day and everything that goes into it today.
Absolutely. So a little bit about me. As most people know, I started kind of entering the world of e-commerce through Empower E-commerce Cooperative, and I love it. I love every second of it. I love e-commerce. I love entrepreneurs, and Eva was a sort of a natural extension to that journey for me because it is so inclusive. And I don't know if you're aware of the, sort of that saying where people sometimes will say, "A jack of all trades is a master of none."
Yeah.
And we've heard
that this past weekend, actually.
Yeah. So a lot of people use that and they wonder if that is applicable to Eva, but I want to remind people of the actual true saying. So the full saying is, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but still better than a master of one." And so it means that you're still, the sum of its parts is still greater when combined. And so that's definitely true of Eva, and it's the future of e-commerce that I can see is, taking a lot of things that you need, combining them so that the data works together. So that's where I'm at now. I'm VP of marketing for Eva, and I love it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you on the show. Before we get into all the ththings we need to do to prepare for Prime Day, what do you find most challenging about it? I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but, if you could hone in on just 2-3 things, what do you find most challenging about Prime Day?
Well, I think sellers really feel the pain, especially this year. Amazon announced pretty late, like really late, what Prime Day was going to be, and it keeps sellers guessing. And it is especially difficult this year because of the logistics difficulties. There's a lot of shortages right now for different types of products, and there's a lot of shipping delays. And so there's not a ton that we can really say, okay, you need to know this for Prime Day, and now you can go out and order your quantity and stuff like that. Like all of that must have already been done, probably even before they announced the date that it should have been done, just with your best guess of what Prime Day was going to be. And now we know it's July 12th and 13th. And that actually got announced. And then I don't know if some of the listeners will be attending, but Powwow is actually scheduled to be on those exact same days, the 12th and 13th. So like the pros that they are, the Powwow hosts said, let's make a station so that people can go and check on their products and they can have a quiet workspace so that they can attend the event, but still keep an eye on their products. And I think that kind of shows like, this is one of the big ones, like Black Friday, holiday sales. Prime Day it's a really big deal, and it takes a lot of thought and preparation ahead of time. So I would say logistics, inventory, it's really top of mind for a lot of people, and making sure that that you are not running out of stock. And there are some things that you can still be in charge of, in control of, to help sort of minimize the impact if you're selling a lot, running out of stock. Ordering is done, shipping is done. Hopefully it's even already checked into the FBA because we're only a couple weeks away now. But we can still do a few things, and I'm excited to dive into those with you.
That's really cool. There's a lot of things that goes into Prime Day itself, and I'm really excited to deep dive on those with you. But before we get into that, your customers at Eva.Guru, what kind of challenges are they having whenever they come to you guys?
It varies quite a bit. We serve both resellers and private label sellers. And so the challenges will vary depending. But a lot of people really are struggling to find a pricing tool that works for them. And so what's great about Eva is that, and what differentiates us a little bit from some of the competitors, is that we have a repricing tool that is specific to private label, and it functions differently than the reseller pricing tool. And we have the repricing tool for resellers that, it is very specific to the type of selling that you do and the type of challenges that you face. You have the fear of the race to the bottom when you're lowering your price to keep regaining the buy box. We have a lot of tools in place to help control and mitigate the risk there, and to make sure that we're edging up the price at very quick intervals before other tools can do that, so that you are not racing to the bottom with your price, and so that you're still maintaining the buy box, but also maximizing your profit. For private labels, we have some really cool tools too. And the one that I'm going to talk to you about today is called target velocity pricing. This one is very smart. It was a request from one of our sellers, and we were able to put that into place so that it could help all of our customers. And what it does is it actually will take your pricing tool that you've set up, and for that product, it will say, okay, when I reach this goal, my target velocity for sales, then it will start to increase my price at this amount at these set intervals, so that if I'm at risk of running out of stock, then
My
I can
price is
slow the
going
roll.
up. So
Yeah,
your
exactly.
price is going up, therefore deterring shoppers, or you're going to make extra margins on that
Right.
product. That's incredibly smart. So tying all this back into Prime Day, the buy box and the inventory challenges. So how are you guys at Eva.Guru helping your customers overcome that challenge?
Well, so there's a couple different ways. I mean, obviously, the different functionalities within the tool, like target velocity pricing, are a big part of it. And then in the inventory management section of the tool, then it's very user friendly, where you can go in there and you can go, and take a look at all of your active SKUs, and you can say, what would I need if I needed to do a full restock? And it will populate this many units for this many things. And it will do that based on the number of units that are currently there, the number that are in FC transfer, the number that are, en route, and the sales velocity and the pattern of sales, that may be cyclical or seasonal for your products. And it will do it per product. So it's giving you this information. Now, let's say, you don't have that kind of funds right now. You don't have enough to say, I'm going to do a full restock. So you can actually say, okay, I have this much to spend. How should I spend that? And then Eva will simulate a thing that shows you, for this product, buy only this many, now that you only have this much to spend. But this one, still order that same amount because this is one of your high sellers. So it really goes through and gives you a good idea of how to keep on top of that inventory. And it gives you a great snapshot view of where everything is at. Like I said, you can see which ones are en route, which ones are in FC transfer. And because we also have 3PLs and warehouses, then when we have our customers who are using our warehouses, we can also show that data in Eva. So that's pretty awesome.
That is awesome, actually. What kind of results are you getting for clients at Eva.Guru?
We have clients, some of our customers are like over the moon. We have some of the reviews that have come in that just are very thankful, because, this is really one of the scary things, I think. Logistics, it really is one of those things that, even though it is not about, PPC or advertising spend or sourcing, logistics still plays a part in every single other part of your business. Because if that goes wrong, it doesn't matter if you source the perfect product. It doesn't matter if you are a PPC, a SEO expert. If your logistics is off and you don't get your stuff there by Prime Day, or you don't, edge up your pricing to retain your seller rank, and then you run out of stock, then, that's really going to cause you some problems.
Yeah. Or, even getting your order delivered to the customer on time.
Exactly.
Like, it plays a huge role. That's really awesome. And I can see why your clients love working with you. So now we know who you are, what your company does, how it gets results. Let's take a deep dive into logistics and inventory management. So as we know, Amazon Prime Day is crazy. So how can I begin to prepare for logistics and inventory management going into Amazon, especially with all the restrictions going on?
Yeah, I would say the best thing to do now, obviously, again, at this point for the upcoming Prime Day, hopefully you have all of your, you've done the math right, you've got your inventory and stuff ready to go. I would say make sure, whether you're using Eva or another tool or just doing this manually, make sure that you're keeping an eye on your inventory. And if you need to go in and manually increase price and stuff like that, just make sure that you are taking steps to not run out of stock and lose your seller rank. And this goes into advertising too. You got to make sure, if you're promoting a product, you don't promote yourself out of seller rank by selling out of the product on Prime Day. It's a beautiful problem to have, right? We always want to sell out, but if you run out of stock and then you end up losing your rank, and it takes sometimes a really long time to recapture the position you were in before. So I think most important thing at this stage is keep an eye on Prime Day, have a plan for what you're going to do when you start to see the sales come through. And if like there's just no way I'm going to sell out of stock, I accidentally ordered 10,000 instead of 1,000, so I'm going to have an excess, make sure that you are taking steps to have the right PPC plan in place so that you are maximizing every possible avenue for what your specific business is in need of, whether it's selling out a ton, whether it's making sure you don't run out of stock. There's a lot to consider for Prime Day, and making sure that you go into it with a plan is really key.
And I love how you covered that. So when we're thinking about Prime Day preparation, how can I best manage my inventory while keeping an eye on my profits?
That is such a tricky question, right? So I think I love that question. I think that one of the tricky things is making sure that you are competitive enough that you are getting the sales, but also so that your price is low enough that Amazon doesn't suppress your buy box, and that's going to ruin your whole Prime Day. So it really comes down to being present and having a plan, making sure that you know your products, right? So making sure that for this one, I have this much profit margin. And these are things you can see on Eva. You can look at the pricing by ROI or by margin or profit percentage. So you can see okay, I know how much the FBA storage fee, I know how much the shipping is, I know how much all of these different things are. And given that if I want to maintain, a $2 profit for this particular product, or if I want to maintain a 10% margin here, then that means I need to be selling at least this cost. So then you have an idea, okay, here's my minimum, here's my maximum, here's the area that I can wiggle so that I can edge up the price if it starts getting to the point where, I'm worried about my level of inventory, or I can lower a little bit to make sure that I'm competing, and that if anyone else is selling the same product, I'm still maintaining the buy box.
That makes perfect sense. So what's the biggest surprise that you've had the last few months, regarding any major problems that may arise when sending your inventory into Amazon or managing your Prime Day account?
I feel like with some of the terms of service changes and some of the things that have changed within Amazon, and then the logistics, problems in the world, I feel like it's not one surprise. It's sort of surprising how often the hits keep coming. I feel like, a lot of people are sort of at the point where it's somebody posts a news article or something on LinkedIn that's uh-oh, we've got a new change. You got to be aware of this. People are just what now? So I think that's a little bit where people are at. I would say, it's definitely normal and natural to have sort of an exhaustion of the surprise factor every few minutes, and you kind of are just what else? But try and take that again, try and be constructive and say, I'm going to follow this person or this organization or something because they're always, staying updated on the news. I'm going to make sure I'm part of this group where I can ask questions about, these things that are always happening in logistics or in TOS or things like that. Surround yourself by people who need to know the same things that you do, and then you'll have an upper hand, making sure that you are prepared and that surprises are expected, at least, right? Expect the unexpected.
Well, especially with Amazon, you get an email 24 hours later, change has been made, and you're just kind of what? So do you have any suggestions for those that are watching or listening right now who may need help managing their logistics in the best way possible for Prime Day?
For Prime Day, again, I really hope that you guys have things well in hand. I would say for logistics, for upcoming anything, then there's a lot of really good there's a lot of really good tools out there. There's a lot of really good warehouses and stuff out there. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Eva's tool and Eva's warehouses. So make sure that you just research and trust and know the people you're working with, the companies you're working with, because this is your business. This is your livelihood. You're depending on the partnerships that you make with the tools and services that you're using to make sure that you can be successful. So just do your research, make sure that you have a plan, and then as we discussed, expect the unexpected.
That's some really solid advice, Melissa. So just one side question here. How many warehouses do you have at Eva?
We have 2 warehouses. One is in California and one is in Houston, Texas.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're covering West Coast and Midwest, like Central. Any plans for an East Coast warehouse in the near future?
I don't know that we've toured any sites, but I do know that is definitely something that we are going to be looking at to make sure that we can cover all the bases, all the coasts.
Melissa, how can somebody get in contact with you or get information to solve their problems regarding Prime Day, inventory management problems, or even trying out your software?
That's a wonderful question. Everyone who has any questions about anything related to Amazon selling or about Prime Day, please feel free to call. We have a 24/7 number that we will always answer. We will always be there. And so you can go to our website, and that's just right in the top right-hand corner. I can find it real quick. So it's 833-444-0255. And sometimes people just call us and say, listen, I'm thinking about being a customer, but right now I have a question about this. And so we're always here to help. We want to make sure that sellers are successful. And we assume if they have a good experience with us and they try our tool, they're going to see for themselves how wonderful it is. So we're always willing to help, whether you are a potential customer, a current customer, or whether you just have a question. And then you can also go to Eva.Guru and you can request a demo, and that can get some help for showing how to connect to your store. So you can see actually your seller data, your inventory and stock and ASINs, SKUs, all pulled into our dashboard. So you can see how it can work for you. And this is a wonderful time to do it, because if you connect your store to Eva right now, you can have, just minute by minute, just checking out what is happening with your Prime Day sales and everything that's going on, which is killer. It's killer to have that right now, especially if you turn on the pricing tool to make sure that you're maximizing your profit on each of your things. These are 2 things that you still can do. A lot of stuff is out of time. We're out of time for a lot of things, but you can still connect to Eva, set up your pricing tool, and you can still make sure that target velocity pricing and stuff like that is helping you keep an eye on your inventory and keep an eye on your profits. So you can use the 24/7 hotline. You can use Eva.Guru and request a demo, or you can email me at melissa.simonson@Eva.Guru.
And I'll leave those in the links in the description box below this video. So Melissa, in closing, any final thoughts, tips, or pieces of advice for anybody listening or watching right now?
Yes, I would just say, as we get closer and closer, I know that the stress level is rising. I know that people, they have great expectations. They may be worried about, maybe this is your first Prime Day. Maybe this is old hat for you, but you have a different new product launch or something that you're not sure if you're going to see the ROI that you need to keep that product going. Just take a deep breath, make sure that you are being present, that you have a plan. So you're sitting down and making sure that for each of these things what the goal is for ROI, for margin, for inventory levels, and what your PPC plan is. Because if your PPC plan, your inventory, and your pricing are not all in lockstep, this is where you can run into difficulty. So take a deep breath. It's all going to be okay. Use any of the tools and resources that we can offer you. We're happy to help in any way that we can, or at least use what you know and trust, because it's really going to make a difference for your Prime Day.
Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for your time geeking out with me on Prime Day, inventory management, and resolutions to solve your problems. I'm so excited to have somebody like yourself on the show, and I can't wait to record another episode with you again in the future.
Absolutely. I'm always here. I always have so much fun recording podcasts with you, Robert. So thank you so much for having me again.
It was awesome having you, Melissa. Have a wonderful day. For more great tips on inventory management, pricing, and Prime Day, be sure to start your free trial with Eva.Guru. See how it can work for you, where you learn how the tools that Eva provides can help you and give you some peace of mind during these uncertain times. So you can get that by clicking the links in the description box below this video. So what's your next step? Start your free trial of Eva.Guru today. See how it can work for you and get a jump start in solving your Amazon problems. And if you really want to level up your e-commerce marketing strategy, then watch this video next. It's called 5 Proven E-commerce Marketing Strategies to 10x your business. You'll learn insider secrets from CEO Adam Weiler and Tanner Tozen on how to scale 7- and 8-figure e-commerce businesses. Just click the video you see on your screen. I'll see you there.